Your mind is lying to you. How to take back control. Your mind is not always honest with you. Sometimes it hides the truth and fills you with fear and doubt instead. When your thoughts trick you, you feel stuck and powerless. The lies your mind tells can stop you from reaching your true potential. You have the power to recognize these lies and refuse to believe them. Taking control means learning to see your thoughts clearly and choosing which ones deserve your attention. Today, we will talk about how your mind deceives you and how to take back control. You will discover simple ways to stop believing the negative stories your brain creates. You will learn how to focus on what is real and make choices that move you forward. If you're ready to stop letting your mind control you and start living with clear, honest thinking, then let's dive in. Number 1. Identify negative thoughts that don't reflect reality. Every day, millions of people walk around carrying a silent weight. They smile in public, shake hands, go to work, talk to friends, but inside, they feel like they're not enough. They feel like they're failing. They feel like they're stuck, like they don't have what it takes. And do you know where that feeling comes from? Their own mind, not from truth, not from fact, but from a voice that whispers quietly, "You can't." That voice, my friend, is lying. But here's the challenge. It sounds so real. It sounds convincing. And when you hear it enough, you start to believe it. You stop questioning it. You let it tell you who you are and what you're worth. That's the real danger, not just hearing the lie, but accepting it without thinking. You see, your mind has power. It's the most powerful tool you've got. But it's not perfect. It gets conditioned over time by pain, failure, fear, rejection, guilt, comparison, things we all go through. When those experiences pile up, your mind starts creating stories. It tries to protect you. But in that process, it starts telling you things that aren't true, like, you're not smart enough. You always mess things up. Nobody really cares about you. You'll never change. These thoughts feel like facts, but they're just old tapes playing in your head. They're leftovers from the past, not reflections of your present or your future. And unless you slow down and pay attention, those thoughts start shaping your life. They affect how you show up. You stop going after the job. You stop speaking up. You stop taking risks. You stay small because your mind told you that's all you're worth. But listen, your mind is not always your friend. Not when it's been poisoned by years of self-doubt. You've got to start catching the lies before they start running the show. You've got to stop treating every thought like it's true just because it came from inside your head. People think confidence comes from success. No. Confidence comes from honesty. Real, brutal honesty about the fact that your thoughts are not always trustworthy. You've got to question them. Just because your mind says something doesn't mean it deserves your trust. You have to learn how to see your own patterns. Pay attention to the thoughts that show up when you fail, or when someone criticizes you, or when you feel tired and overwhelmed. That's when the lies creep in the loudest. That's when your mind tells you things like, you're a loser, you're behind in life, everyone else has it figured out. Stop and ask yourself, is that actually true? Or is that just fear dressed up as fact? Most people never stop to ask that. They hear the thought and believe it without checking. That's like getting a letter in the mail and assuming it's the truth before reading it. You wouldn't do that. You'd open it, read it, look at where it came from. You've got to do the same thing with your thoughts. Where is this coming from? Is this thought trying to help me or hurt me? Is it based on evidence or emotion? And here's something important to remember. Your mind isn't evil. It's just running on programming. Some of that programming you didn't choose. Maybe it came from your parents, or your teachers, or your old relationships. Maybe it came from a failure that wounded your self-worth. Whatever it is, it created a script. And that script keeps repeating itself until you interrupt it. That's your job now, to interrupt the script. To stop being a passive listener to every negative thought and start becoming an active editor of your own mental story. Now, I know this isn't easy. This takes effort. It takes awareness. It takes practice. But what's the alternative? Living a life based on lies? Settling for less because your mind keeps feeding you doubts? You deserve better than that. But no one can take those lies out of your head for you. You've got to do the work. And it starts with identifying the false thoughts that don't reflect reality. Not one time, every time. Every time that old voice creeps in and tries to shrink you, you pause and you say, "Hold on, that doesn't sound like the truth." You treat your thoughts like you'd treat a stranger giving you advice. Some of it might help, but some of it, total nonsense. When you begin to do that, something powerful happens. You create space between you and your thoughts. You stop reacting and start observing. And in that space, you find freedom. You realize you don't have to believe every criticism your mind throws at you. You don't have to shrink every time fear shows up. You don't have to carry shame that doesn't belong to you. You start showing up with more courage because now you're checking the story before you accept it. You're not falling for the first negative thought that pops up. You're not letting your mind make decisions based on outdated pain. You've got to be ruthless about this. When a lie shows up in your head, don't just notice it. Call it out. Write it down. Look at it in the daylight. Ask yourself, where did this come from? What evidence do I have for this? Who told me this and why did I believe it? This is how you take back power. Not by ignoring the negative thoughts, but by confronting them head on. No more hiding. No more hoping they go away. You face them. And when you do, you start to weaken them. You stop giving them control. Here's the truth: you are not broken. You are not behind. You are not less than. But if you keep letting your mind lie to you, you'll live like those things are true. That's the cost. You'll play small. You'll stay quiet. You'll keep waiting instead of building. But not because it's real, because it feels real. And feelings are powerful, but they're not always the truth. You've got to learn how to feel something and still choose to move forward. That's strength. That's discipline. That's how you build a new relationship with your mind. Not by trusting it blindly, but by leading it with awareness. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who hears them. And now you've got a choice: keep listening to the lies or start living by the truth. Because your mind will keep talking every day. But it's up to you to decide which parts deserve your belief. That's how you take the first step back to control. Not by silencing the mind, but by knowing which voice to listen to. Number 2. Challenge your mind's lies with objective evidence daily. Most people live as if their minds tell the whole truth. When a thought pops up saying, "You're not capable," or "This will never work out," they accept it without question. But here's the harsh reality. Those thoughts are often not based on facts at all. They come from fear, old wounds, or bad experiences that your mind uses to protect you, even if that protection is misguided. The problem is that this habit of accepting negative thoughts without proof becomes a pattern. It becomes the lens through which you see yourself and your world. When you start to challenge those lies, everything changes. You begin to see your situation differently. You gain control over your emotions instead of being controlled by them. The challenge is that it takes discipline and intention to do this daily. You must become a detective in your own life. Every time your mind throws a negative thought your way, don't just accept it. Stop and ask, what proof do I have that this is true? Take it seriously, like it's a statement that needs verification. Look at the facts. What happened? What evidence supports this thought? What evidence contradicts it? For example, if your mind says, "I always fail," think about times you succeeded. Even small wins count. This is not about being blindly positive, but about being fair and realistic. Often, people let feelings override facts. You might feel hopeless or inadequate, but those feelings aren't evidence. Feelings are signals, not facts. They tell you how your mind is reacting to a situation, not what the situation actually is. When you learn to separate feelings from facts, you stop giving too much power to those automatic negative thoughts. You learn to examine them with fresh eyes. You test them. And in testing, you discover the truth hidden beneath the emotional noise. Make this a daily habit. Take a few minutes every morning or evening to review your thoughts. Pick one or two recurring negative beliefs and ask yourself, what is the real story here? Write down the facts. What actually happened? Who said what? What were the results? Often, you'll find that the negative belief is based on assumptions, incomplete information, or misunderstandings. By writing it down, you create distance from the thought. You make it less automatic and more manageable. It's also helpful to ask trusted friends or mentors for their perspective. Sometimes your mind is stuck in a loop and can't see the truth clearly. Other people can offer objective views and remind you of your strengths and achievements. When your mind says, "You're not good enough," a friend might remind you of all the times you showed courage or skill. This outside viewpoint provides concrete evidence that challenges the lies your mind tells. It's important to avoid falling into the trap of arguing with your mind using emotions. That only fuels the fire. Instead, approach your thoughts like data points in a research project. Gather the evidence. Look for facts. What can you prove? What can you disprove? This process forces your brain to engage logically, which weakens the power of emotional lies. When your mind tries to convince you that you're worthless, you counter with a list of your achievements, your resilience, and the times you overcame obstacles. Daily practice of challenging your mind's lies rewires your thinking. Over time, you build a habit of skepticism toward negative self-talk. You become aware that not every thought deserves your trust. Instead, you start to give attention to those thoughts that are based on truth and serve your growth. This shift changes how you experience yourself and the world around you. You become more confident and less reactive. You begin to live from a place of truth rather than fear. Remember, this is not a one-time fix. The mind is clever and persistent. It will keep sending lies because it's trying to keep you safe in its own way. But you're stronger than your thoughts. You've got the power to question, analyze, and replace them. By doing this consistently, you train your mind to serve you better. You teach it to stop jumping to negative conclusions and start focusing on facts. Imagine your mind as a garden. Negative thoughts are like weeds that pop up without invitation. If you don't pull them out by the root every day, they spread and choke the healthy plants. Challenging those lies with evidence is pulling out the weeds. It takes work, but the harvest is peace, clarity, and confidence. This clarity lets you make better choices because you're not being driven by lies and fear anymore. It's also important to prepare for resistance. When you start challenging your mind, you might feel discomfort. That's normal. The mind doesn't like being questioned. It prefers the safety of old stories. But discomfort is a sign of growth. It means you're stepping into new territory. Keep pushing through it. Keep collecting your facts and shining a light on the lies. Your mind will eventually adjust because it responds to what you focus on. Another powerful way to gather objective evidence is to keep a success journal. Every day, write down at least one thing you did well, one thing you learned, or one positive experience. When your mind whispers that you're failing, pull out your journal. See the proof of your progress in black and white. This simple tool rewires your brain to recognize facts of success rather than lies of failure. When your mind says you'll never change, test that with your actions. Look at your past. How many times have you adapted, grown, and learned something new? What proof do you have of progress, even if it's slow? Holding on to proof of change is a powerful antidote to the lie that you're stuck. Evidence beats fear every time. Challenging your mind with facts also helps you make better decisions. When you base your choices on feelings alone, you risk making impulsive or fear-driven moves. But when you look at facts, the pros and cons, the outcomes, the evidence, you make clearer, more confident decisions. This clarity reduces anxiety and regret. It empowers you to take responsibility for your life. Take responsibility not by blaming your mind for lies, but by becoming the leader of your thoughts. You're the one in charge. Your mind is a tool, not a dictator. Treat it like a piece of equipment that sometimes needs calibration and repair. When you challenge lies with facts, you're tuning your mind for success. Challenge is the gateway to growth. It's the act of saying no to lies and yes to truth. It's the discipline of refusing to accept defeat in your own head. You're stronger than you think because you have the ability to question your mind and rewrite your story. That power lies inside you, waiting to be used every day. When you do this work, you'll notice a shift. The lies lose their grip. Your confidence grows. You start living based on truth, not fear. And that is how you reclaim control over your mind and your life. Number 3. Practice mindfulness to notice false thoughts without attachment. Every single day, your mind generates thousands of thoughts. Most of them come and go so quickly you hardly notice. But some stick around, clinging to your attention like stubborn shadows. Among those are false thoughts, ideas that don't serve you, that drag you down, that fill your head with doubt and fear. The problem is, many people react immediately to those thoughts. They jump in, they believe them, they feel them deeply. And when that happens, those false thoughts gain power. They shape your feelings, your choices, your whole day. The truth is, your mind's voice is not the boss of you. You can watch your thoughts without getting pulled in. That's what mindfulness teaches us. It's a skill that lets you observe your thoughts as they come, notice which ones are false, and then let them pass without gripping them tightly. Imagine sitting beside a river, watching leaves float by on the water's surface. You see the leaf, you notice it, but you don't try to catch it or hold it. Mindfulness is like that with your thoughts. You see them come and go. You don't have to agree with them, follow them, or react to them. This simple awareness breaks the habit of getting caught in the lie. It creates space between you and your thoughts. And when there's space, there's freedom. Freedom to choose which thoughts you pay attention to and which ones you ignore. Most people never learn this. They believe the thoughts they have, especially negative ones, are facts. When a thought says, "You're not good enough," they feel it deeply. They let it color their mood and behavior. Mindfulness asks you to notice that thought and say, "I see you. You're just a thought." That simple recognition stops the automatic reaction. It changes how you experience your inner world. Instead of being trapped by your thoughts, you become the watcher of them. This takes practice. Your mind is used to rushing in and grabbing hold of feelings and stories. It doesn't want to be watched quietly. But with time, mindfulness trains your brain to slow down. You start noticing when your mind is making up stories that don't match reality. You realize you don't have to believe every thought. You learn to spot patterns, those repeated false thoughts that show up in stressful moments. When you notice them, you can choose not to feed them. It's like turning down the volume on a noisy radio inside your head. When a false thought comes, you acknowledge it, but don't engage. You don't argue with it, you don't try to fix it immediately, you simply watch it. This takes away its power. You stop identifying yourself with those thoughts. They become less real and less overwhelming. Mindfulness also sharpens your emotional awareness. You begin to feel your emotions clearly, without getting lost in them. For example, if fear or sadness arises because of a false thought, you don't try to push those feelings away or drown them in distractions. You allow yourself to feel them fully while still noticing that they are separate from you. You realize feelings are temporary waves, not permanent states. This understanding changes your relationship with your inner experience. Instead of being tossed around by emotions, you stand steady like a calm observer. It helps to set aside time daily to practice mindfulness. Find a quiet place, sit comfortably, and focus on your breath. Notice the rise and fall of each breath. When thoughts come, observe them without judgment. Watch how they appear and disappear. Don't chase them. Don't hold on. Just be present with your experience. This simple exercise rewires your brain over time to become less reactive and more grounded. When false thoughts pop up during the day, Use mindfulness on the spot. Take a deep breath and become aware of the thought without following it. Notice the sensations in your body: tightness, racing heart, heaviness, and observe them with curiosity. This stops the immediate emotional reaction and allows you to respond calmly. You regain control instead of letting the mind run wild. Mindfulness also helps you understand that thoughts are not commands. Your mind will suggest all kinds of things. Don't try. You can't succeed. You're not worthy. Mindfulness lets you see these as just passing mental events, not orders to obey. This shift changes your behavior. Instead of reacting out of fear, you act out of clarity and choice. This practice builds resilience. Life throws challenges, and your mind will always try to protect you with false warnings. But mindfulness helps you notice these warnings as just thoughts, not facts. You can face difficulties with a calm mind and a steady heart. This reduces stress and anxiety, making you stronger in the face of adversity. You're not your thoughts. This is a crucial insight mindfulness reveals. The voice in your head is often loud and convincing, but it is not who you truly are. You are the awareness behind the voice. You are the one who can watch the story without getting caught in the drama. This perspective gives you power. Power to choose peace over chaos. Power to choose truth over lies. As you practice mindfulness, you'll start to recognize the difference between thoughts that help and thoughts that harm. You'll learn to value those that inspire and encourage, and let go of those that pull you down. This process clears mental clutter and builds a foundation for positive change. The mind is naturally busy and noisy, but mindfulness brings calm. It teaches you to live in the moment, fully present, not dragged into past regrets or future worries. When you live in this way, false thoughts lose their grip. They can't control your feelings or your actions anymore. You become the driver, not the passenger, in your own mental world. It's not about ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about meeting your inner experience honestly, without adding layers of fear or judgment. This honest witnessing creates a powerful shift in your mindset. You start responding to life's challenges with clarity and confidence instead of confusion and doubt. When false thoughts come, mindfulness shows you how to let them float by like clouds in the sky. You acknowledge their presence, but you don't hold on. This practice transforms your mental habits and rewires your brain for calm and focus. No one else can do this work for you. You have to commit to noticing your thoughts without attachment every day. This is how you take the first real step to reclaim control over your mind. You step out of the storm of falsehoods and into a space of clarity. With time, this awareness becomes a natural part of who you are. You live with less fear and more freedom. You respond to life with wisdom instead of reacting out of old stories. Your mind becomes your tool instead of your master. That is the gift mindfulness offers, the power to live fully, free from the chains of false thoughts. Number 4, replace self-doubt with empowering and truthful affirmations. Most people wake up, and the first thing their mind throws at them is not encouragement, it's criticism. The thoughts come in fast. You're not good enough. You don't have what it takes. Why even try? This isn't just once in a while, it's every day for many. And those thoughts don't wait for an invitation. They show up when you're getting dressed, when you're about to speak in a meeting, when you're working on a goal, when you look in the mirror. They're quiet sometimes, but they're there, cutting deep. And the longer you let them stay unchallenged, the more they feel like truth. Self-doubt is not just a passing feeling for most people. It becomes a voice they live with, a voice they listen to. But here's the truth, that voice is lying. There's nothing more dangerous to your progress than believing the lies your own mind tells you about yourself. When you accept those thoughts without question, they start shaping your identity. And once they take root, they influence how you speak, how you walk, how you relate to people, how you take action or don't. The way to stop that cycle is not to argue with the voice. The way to stop it is to speak a louder truth. And that louder truth is called affirmation. Not fake hype, not feel-good fluff. Real, grounded truth spoken to yourself every single day. It's about replacing the mental poison of self-doubt with powerful words that remind you who you really are. This isn't magic. It's training. The mind learns through repetition. If you tell yourself you're not capable 50 times a day, your brain will believe it. But if you tell yourself you are prepared, focused, worthy, and committed again and again, your brain will believe that too. But most people never take that control. They leave their minds open to default thinking. And the default is often negative. The default is fear. The default is doubt. You have to be intentional. You don't wait until you feel confident. You speak confidence anyway. You don't wait until your life is perfect to speak strength. You speak strength in the middle of your uncertainty. You don't wait for permission. You give it to yourself. Every day, out loud. Not just in your head, but with your own voice. Why out loud? Because hearing your voice say something powerful changes the way it lands. It doesn't just pass by, it hits differently. Your words become a force, and over time, they start rewriting the story you believe about yourself. Affirmations aren't about ignoring your struggles. They're about choosing not to be defined by them. You can struggle and still believe in yourself. You can fail and still declare your worth. You can feel afraid and still remind yourself of your courage. The mind needs to hear the truth consistently, or it will default to lies. That's why affirmation has to be a daily habit. You brush your teeth every day to keep them clean. You need to speak truth to your mind every day to keep it clear. Start simple. Start with what's real. If you're committed to growth, say that. If you're willing to do the work, say that. If you're learning from every mistake, remind yourself. Make your affirmations personal, honest, and grounded in who you're becoming, not just who you've been. Say things like, I am learning and growing every day. I am strong enough to handle what comes. I have value, even when I feel unsure. These aren't just phrases, they're reminders, anchors. And the more you say them, the more they become part of how you think. You can write them down in a notebook every morning. You can record them in your voice and listen back. You can speak them while walking, driving, or before bed. But don't skip it. Because if you don't feed your mind the truth, the lies will fill the space. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you are underneath the noise of fear and doubt. And here's something powerful. When you speak affirmations regularly, you start acting in alignment with them. You stop shrinking. You start walking into rooms with presence. You begin taking actions that match the truth you've been speaking. Because your thoughts drive your emotions. Your emotions drive your behavior, and your behavior shapes your life. It all starts with what you allow your mind to hear and believe. If you grew up around negative influences, or if life has beaten you down over time, affirmations may feel awkward at first. You might not believe them right away. That's okay. Say them anyway. Belief comes through repetition. You don't have to feel it fully to speak it. Just speak it daily, with intention. Like you mean it, even if your voice shakes. Because what you say to yourself matters more than what anyone else says to you. No one else lives inside your head. You do. And you have the right and the responsibility to create a voice inside that uplifts, supports, and drives you forward. You won't erase all self-doubt in a day. But each time you speak a true and empowering affirmation, you weaken that old voice just a little. And if you keep going, you'll eventually quiet it enough to hear something better, your real voice. The one that believes in effort. The one that trusts in your ability to figure things out. The one that doesn't need to be perfect to keep moving forward. That voice is waiting, but you have to lead it. You have to teach your mind who's in charge. Your mind might try to resist. It might say this is silly or this isn't helping. But that's just the old programming trying to survive. Ignore it. Keep speaking truth. Because truth cuts through noise. It brings clarity. And when you get clear about your worth, your power, and your direction, nothing can hold you back for long. Don't just use affirmations when you're struggling. Use them all the time. When things are going well, speak them to strengthen your foundation. When things fall apart, speak them to hold yourself together. When you're in the middle of doubt, when you're about to take a risk, when you feel lost or unsure, that's when you need those words most. And you'll find that, over time, those words will be right there when you need them. Not just on paper. Not just in your voice, but in your mind, in your heart, in your daily actions. This is how you take back your power. You don't let self-doubt be the loudest voice in the room anymore. You replace it deliberately, daily with thoughts that reflect your potential, not your fear. And when you do this long enough, you'll notice something shift. You'll stop asking, "Can I do this?" and start saying, "I've got this." You'll stop waiting to feel confident and start building confidence through action. That's not just motivation. That's transformation. And it starts with the words you say to yourself every single day. Number 5, question automatic fears before reacting emotionally immediately. Fear is one of the most powerful forces inside the human mind. It hits fast, and often before you even realize it, you're already caught in its grip. That instant rush of anxiety or panic feels real and urgent, and your body reacts immediately. You might freeze, run away, or lash out without thinking. The truth is, most people live their lives responding to fear without ever stopping to question it. They accept the feelings as facts, believing the danger or threat is real and immediate. But in many cases, that fear is automatic and false. It's a knee-jerk reaction from a mind trying to protect you, but it's often pointing to something that isn't really there. The critical skill is to learn to pause, to question those automatic fears before you let them control your emotions and actions. Think about a moment recently when your heart started racing, your chest tightened, or your mind spiraled into worry. What if that fear was just a story your brain told you, based on old experiences or worst-case scenarios, rather than what was actually happening? If you can step back and ask, is this fear based on something real right now, or is it a habit from past experiences? You begin to gain control over your response. Instead of being dragged down by anxiety or panic, you start to see fear for what it is, a feeling, not a fact. It might warn you sometimes, but it often exaggerates or creates problems that don't exist. Most people never train themselves to make this distinction. The mind is quick to jump to conclusions because it wants to protect you from harm. That's why fear feels so convincing. But that protective instinct can become a prison. It keeps you stuck in place, or worse, pushes you to act out of confusion and false alarms. When you allow fear to drive your decisions without question, you lose clarity. You miss opportunities. You hurt relationships. You make mistakes you later regret. The first step is awareness. When fear shows up, don't react immediately. Instead, notice it. Pay attention to the physical sensations in your body, the tightness in your chest, the flutter in your stomach, the quickening breath. Label it as fear. Say to yourself, "This is fear." Naming the emotion immediately creates distance. It separates you from the feeling so you're not consumed by it. This small shift is huge. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see what's really there. Next, ask questions. Challenge the fear with logic. What exactly am I afraid of right now? Is there clear evidence this danger is present? What is the worst-case scenario, and how likely is it to happen? Have I handled situations like this before? These questions bring facts to the surface. They stop the mind from spinning out in all directions. They force you to slow down and think clearly. It helps to write down your answers or say them aloud. This externalizes the fear and breaks the mental cycle of worry. You might realize the fear is based on something from the past, something your mind is dragging forward without reason. Or you might find the fear is about a possibility, not a certainty. Understanding this changes everything. You see that while fear may feel intense, it does not have to dictate your next move. Another powerful step is to remind yourself that emotions are temporary. Fear is not permanent. It's like a wave that rises and falls. When you don't react immediately, the wave loses strength. You allow calm to return. Your rational mind re-engages. This makes space for you to choose a response instead of just reacting. This practice requires patience and repetition. Fear will keep trying to take control because it's been in charge for so long. But each time you pause and question it, you build a new habit. You train your brain to respond differently. Over time, this rewires your nervous system to be less reactive and more balanced. It also builds confidence. When you don't run from fear, but face it with questions and calm, you realize you can handle uncertainty. You learn that most fears aren't as big or as threatening as your mind first suggested. That builds trust in yourself. It reduces anxiety over time. You start living with more courage. Many people mistake fear as a sign that they should avoid a situation. But often, fear is just a signal to slow down and think, not to stop. It's okay to feel scared. The important part is not letting that fear push you into decisions without reflection. Questioning fear creates a space for wisdom and choice. This approach changes your relationship with fear. Instead of fearing fear itself, you learn to work with it. You accept fear's presence but refuse to be its prisoner. You recognize that fear wants to protect you, but sometimes it oversteps its role. You put it in its place by checking its stories against reality. A useful tool is deep breathing combined with questioning. When fear rushes in, take slow, deep breaths to calm your nervous system. Then ask your questions. The breath slows the mind and body down, making it easier to think clearly and respond wisely. This simple combination is a powerful way to break the cycle of automatic fear responses. It's also helpful to prepare in advance. Think about common fears that show up in your life. Write them down. Then practice questioning them when you're calm, not in the middle of a panic. This trains your mind to challenge fears even in stressful moments because you've built a mental habit. The people who master this skill don't have fewer fears. They just know how to handle them differently. They don't allow fear to take over their lives or decisions. They live with more peace and freedom because they don't let their emotions control their choices. They become leaders of their own minds. In daily life, this means when a fear-based thought arises, you don't have to act on it immediately. You don't have to say no to opportunities just because fear screams danger. You can pause, breathe, ask questions, and then decide. Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes it's no. But the difference is that it's a choice, not a reaction. When fear is questioned and handled this way, you reclaim control over your mind. You stop being a victim of automatic emotional reactions. You start living intentionally with courage and clarity. That's the real power, choosing your response instead of being driven by fear. This practice transforms your mind from a place of chaos to a place of calm authority. Each time you face fear without immediate reaction, you build strength. You send a message to yourself that fear doesn't control you anymore. This confidence ripples into all areas of your life: relationships, work, health, and personal growth. Fear loses its grip and you gain your power. This is not easy, and it doesn't happen overnight, but it's worth every effort. The alternative is living stuck in cycles of worry and limitation. The choice is yours. Let fear dictate your life, or learn to question it and find freedom on the other side. Number 6. Write down lies your mind tells and analyze them. The mind can be a tricky place. It creates stories that don't match reality. These stories often come so naturally you don't even realize they're untrue. They creep into your thoughts quietly, convincing you that you're not good enough, that you'll never succeed, or that things will always be difficult. These lies can weigh heavy, making you feel stuck or hopeless. The challenge is that most people never take the time to catch these lies and look at them closely. They live believing every thought their mind throws at them, no matter how false or damaging. One of the most powerful ways to fight this is by writing down the lies your mind tells you and then carefully analyzing each one. Writing things down forces you to slow your thoughts. When a negative thought or a fear pops into your head, don't just let it fade away or spiral deeper. Grab a notebook or a journal and write it out. Seeing the lie on paper makes it real, but also opens the door to questioning it. Once the lie is in front of you, it can't hide anymore. It loses its power of being an automatic, unquestioned truth. When you write these thoughts down, be honest and clear. Capture exactly what your mind is saying. For example, I'm not smart enough to get that job, or I always mess things up, or nobody cares about me. These are common lies many people tell themselves, but they don't reflect reality. Writing them down makes it possible to separate your feelings from facts. The next step is analysis. Don't accept these statements as facts. Instead, ask yourself, where is the evidence for this? What are examples in my life that prove this thought wrong? How would I respond if a close friend said this to me? When you approach your thoughts like a detective, looking for clues and proof, you start to see how often these truths are actually just fears or self-doubts dressed up as facts. For instance, if your mind says, I'm not smart enough, list times when you solved problems, learned new skills, or succeeded in something challenging. If the lie is, nobody cares about me, write down moments when people showed kindness, support, or love toward you. This practice shows your mind a more accurate picture of reality and cuts through the distorted version of truth that fear or insecurity created. Another important aspect is to notice patterns in these lies. Over time, you may find that certain kinds of false thoughts appear again and again. Maybe you often think you're going to fail, or that you're not deserving of happiness. Recognizing these patterns helps you understand what areas of your life need more attention, healing, or growth. You don't have to fight each lie one by one blindly. You can target the root beliefs that keep producing these negative thoughts. Writing and analyzing these lies also teaches self-compassion. The mind can be harsh, but by writing out these false thoughts and seeing their flaws, you realize that your mind is sometimes your own worst enemy. This isn't a battle you face with anger or frustration, but with curiosity and kindness. You're not attacking yourself, you're discovering where your thinking went wrong so you can correct it and grow. The process of writing down and analyzing lies is not a one-time fix. It requires commitment and patience. Your mind is trained to repeat false stories because that's what it knows. But each time you challenge a lie, the story becomes weaker. You build a habit of questioning and doubting those automatic negative thoughts. The mind starts to work with you rather than against you. Keeping a journal dedicated to this can be a daily or weekly practice. You might start by jotting down a lie that came up that day, then take time later to reflect on it and analyze it carefully. Over weeks and months, you will begin to notice your mindset shift. Those harsh, limiting beliefs lose their grip, replaced by a clearer, more balanced view of yourself and your life. Sometimes you'll find that the lies are connected to deep fears or past wounds. Writing and analyzing them can bring those to the surface, which can be uncomfortable but necessary for true change. When you face these fears honestly, you weaken their hold and start to heal old emotional pain that feeds the negative thoughts. This practice also gives you clarity. When the mind is clouded with lies, your decisions become confused. You hesitate or avoid taking action because you believe those false stories. Writing and analyzing helps clear the fog. You see more clearly who you really are and what you're capable of. This clarity boosts confidence and opens doors to new possibilities. An added benefit of this approach is that it builds your mental strength. It's like training a muscle. The more you practice spotting and breaking down lies, the stronger your mind becomes. Over time, you'll catch negative thoughts sooner and refuse to accept them as true. You learn to control your thinking instead of letting your thinking control you. There's no shame in having these lies. Everyone has them. The difference lies in how you respond to them. Writing them down is a brave act of honesty. It's a way to step into your power and say, I will not be ruled by these false stories anymore. This small act of writing can lead to massive change in your mindset and life. This method also teaches you to appreciate truth. When you contrast lies with reality, you start to value what is true about yourself and your circumstances. Truth becomes a shield against the destructive power of fear and doubt. It strengthens your belief in your worth and your ability to create a better future. Many people try to ignore or suppress their negative thoughts, but that only lets them grow stronger underground. Writing and analyzing exposes them to the light and stops them from running the show. It changes your mind from a battlefield into a place of peace and possibility. As you continue this practice, you develop a deeper understanding of your mind's patterns and how to shift them. You become your own guide and ally, not your enemy. This is one of the most powerful steps to take back control from the lies your mind tells you. The act of writing also connects your head and heart. It makes thoughts tangible and opens a dialogue between your conscious awareness and your deeper emotions. This connection is vital because it allows healing and growth to happen naturally. This process can be uncomfortable, even painful at times, but it's always worth it. Every lie you uncover and analyze is a victory against the false stories holding you back. Every truth you uncover about yourself is a step toward freedom. This is a journey, not a quick fix. The mind will continue to try to fool you, but your commitment to writing and analyzing lies builds resilience. It sets you on a path where you're no longer a victim of your thoughts, but the leader of them. When the lies lose their power, your life changes. Your actions align with your true potential. Your relationships improve because you bring a clearer, more honest version of yourself to others. Your dreams become reachable because you no longer carry the weight of invisible chains. Writing down the lies your mind tells and analyzing them is a powerful tool to take back control. It's a simple practice that changes everything. It turns fear and doubt into clarity and confidence. It turns confusion into understanding. It turns silence into a strong voice that says, I am in charge here. Number 7. Surround yourself with truth and positive influences always. Most people don't realize just how much the people and information around them shape the way they think and feel. The mind is like a sponge, soaking up the attitudes, beliefs, and words of those nearby. If you spend most of your time with people who doubt themselves, complain constantly, or focus on what's wrong, you're likely to feel the same way. The thoughts that run through your head won't be your own clear, powerful ideas. They'll be echoes of negativity and doubt from your environment. This is a hard truth. Your surroundings can either build you up or tear you down. When you want to take control of your mind and stop the lies it tells, it's critical to be intentional about who and what you let into your life. If you're constantly exposed to negativity, it becomes harder to see the truth about yourself and your potential. Lies about your worth, your abilities, or your future feel more real when they are backed up by the voices around you. This is why it's essential to surround yourself with truth people and messages that remind you of what is possible and real, not what is limiting or false. Choosing to be around positive influences isn't about ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It's about seeking out those who help you see the good, who challenge you to grow, and who encourage you when life gets tough. These people don't just say nice things, they hold you accountable and help you recognize your strengths and progress. They bring clarity when your mind is clouded with doubt. This environment creates a fertile ground for your mind to develop truthful, empowering thoughts. The media you consume matters too. The news, social media, books and shows have a huge impact on your mindset. If most of what you watch or read is negative, fear-based or focused on failure, your mind absorbs those messages and reflects them in your self-talk. On the other hand, choosing stories of resilience, growth, and hope rewires your brain to expect good things, to believe in effort and change. Being mindful about your environment means you actively decide who you spend time with. It means noticing how certain conversations make you feel. If you feel drained, discouraged, or anxious after spending time with someone, that is a signal. It's not always easy to change relationships or cut ties, but protecting your mind from harmful influences is necessary. You don't have to let toxic attitudes invade your thoughts. There's a powerful difference between being around people who support your truth and those who support your fears. The former helps you recognize your real worth. The latter reinforces the lies your mind tells you. When you're surrounded by truth and positivity, your mind feels safe. It doesn't have to invent scary stories because the reality around you confirms your strengths and possibilities. Sometimes it means seeking new communities if your current circles don't offer that support. This could be joining a group that shares your goals, a book club with inspiring themes, or spending time with mentors who model the mindset you want to build. It's not about changing who you are, but about creating a space where the best parts of you can grow without constant resistance from doubt and negativity. Even simple changes like listening to uplifting music, reading motivational stories, or watching inspiring talks can help shift your mental environment. The key is repetition and consistency. Your mind begins to trust what it hears regularly. When it hears truth and encouragement often enough, it becomes harder for lies to take root. Surrounding yourself with truth also means being honest with yourself and others. When you're open about your struggles and challenges with people who care, it creates real connection and support. It's not about pretending to be perfect, but about facing reality together. This honesty strengthens your mental resilience and makes the lies your mind tells less believable. You become more aware of the difference between what your mind fears and what is true when you have a reliable support system. This clarity helps you challenge negative thoughts more quickly. Instead of being overwhelmed by doubt, you lean on the truth your positive influences remind you of every day. It's important to realize that this is not a one-time fix. Life will always bring challenges, and your mind will try to pull you back into old patterns of fear and doubt. But when your environment consistently reflects truth and encouragement, you build a foundation strong enough to withstand those setbacks. Surrounding yourself with truth is a daily practice. It's about making small choices: what you listen to, who you talk to, what you allow your mind to focus on. Over time, these choices add up, and you feel a shift deep inside. The lies that once held you captive begin to lose their grip, replaced by a clear sense of who you are and what you can achieve. The impact of a truthful and positive environment goes beyond your thoughts. It affects your emotions, your energy, and even your actions. You start to move differently in the world, more confidently, more boldly. You find it easier to take risks, face challenges, and keep going when things get tough, because your mind is nourished by support and reality, not fear and falsehood. This environment also encourages gratitude and perspective. When you see people working hard, overcoming obstacles, and choosing hope, it reminds you that you are not alone. It teaches you that your struggles are part of a bigger story of growth and resilience. Truth and positivity don't just help you ignore lies, they help you build a new story about yourself and your life, one where you are capable, worthy, and moving forward. This story becomes your reality because your mind can't hold two opposing truths at once. The more you surround yourself with truth, the less space there is for lies. Being intentional about your influences means taking control of your life in a practical way. You choose what to feed your mind. You decide who gets to affect your emotions. This simple but powerful step is one of the clearest ways to take back control from the lies your mind tells you. As you build this positive environment, your mind begins to relax. It stops trying to protect you with fear and doubt because it feels supported by truth. You start to think clearly, act confidently, and live more fully. This truth-filled space becomes your safe zone and your launch pad. It holds you steady when life is hard and pushes you forward when opportunity knocks. You don't have to face the battles inside your mind alone. The truth and positive influences around you become your allies in reclaiming control. Each day you spend in this environment is a step away from the lies and toward the life you deserve. Number 8. Use deep breathing to calm your mind quickly. When your mind is overwhelmed with stress, fear, or negative thoughts, it's as if everything inside you speeds up. Your heart races, your thoughts spiral, and your body tenses up. This is a common experience for many people, and it often happens without warning. At these moments, the mind becomes a loud, chaotic place, convincing you that things are worse than they are. The mind's lies feel urgent and real, and it can be hard to step back or regain control. This is where something incredibly simple and powerful comes in: deep breathing. It might sound too basic, but deep breathing is one of the quickest and most effective ways to bring calm into your body and mind, giving you a chance to regain clarity and push back against the lies your mind is telling you. When you breathe deeply, it sends a signal to your nervous system that everything is okay. It tells your body to slow down, to relax, and to come back to a balanced state. When your nervous system calms, your thoughts start to slow down as well. You can create space between yourself and the flood of negative thoughts, making it easier to see what is true and what is just your mind's noise. This shift is not just a feeling, it's a physiological change that helps reset your entire state of being. Most people don't realize how shallow their breathing becomes when they are stressed or anxious. Quick, shallow breaths feed the mind's sense of panic. They keep your body stuck in fight or flight mode, where fear and negative thinking dominate. Taking control of your breath means taking control of your mind. It's a skill that anyone can learn, no matter the situation. To start, focus on breathing in slowly through your nose, filling your lungs fully. Imagine the breath moving down to your belly, expanding it like a balloon. Then exhale gently through your mouth, pushing out all the air completely. The key is to slow the breath down, making each inhale and exhale long and even. When you do this, you give your body the chance to relax muscle tension, reduce heart rate, and quiet the mind's chatter. When negative thoughts rush in and tell you that you're not good enough, that things will never change, or that failure is around the corner, deep breathing interrupts that pattern. It shifts your attention from the story your mind is spinning to something concrete and physical. This simple act grounds you in the present moment, where reality lives, not in the future fears or past regrets your mind uses to trap you. You can practice deep breathing anytime, anywhere. You don't need special equipment or a quiet room. When you feel overwhelmed, pause and take a deep breath. Feel the air fill your lungs. Notice the sensation of your body calming as the breath moves through you. This physical anchor reminds your mind that the danger it perceives is often just a story, not the truth. Deep breathing also improves your focus. When your thoughts scatter in every direction, breathing deeply can bring them back together. It's like tuning an instrument before a performance. Your mind becomes clear and ready to act with intention rather than react out of fear. Breathing deeply isn't just for moments of crisis. It's a powerful daily practice that rewires your nervous system over time. The more regularly you slow your breath and connect with your body, the stronger your ability to remain calm in difficult moments becomes. Your mind learns a new habit. Instead of racing and lying, it starts to respond to stress with peace and clarity. There's a connection between breath and emotion that many people overlook. When emotions build up inside, they often get trapped in the body as tension or discomfort. Deep breathing helps release that tension and makes emotions easier to manage. You don't have to be controlled by your feelings. You can acknowledge them and let them flow without being overwhelmed. If you ever notice yourself holding your breath or breathing quickly during a stressful situation, that is a sign to pause and breathe deeper. When you catch this early, you prevent the situation from escalating in your mind. You choose calm over chaos. Some people find it helpful to combine deep breathing with counting. For example, breathe in for a count of 4, hold the breath for a count of 4, then breathe out for a count of 6. This pattern helps regulate your nervous system even further. It forces your mind to slow down and focus on something simple and manageable. Others add a visual focus, like imagining a peaceful place or a color that represents calm. This creates an even stronger break from negative thoughts. Your mind loves stories and images, so replacing scary stories with peaceful pictures helps it relax. Practicing deep breathing before sleep is especially helpful because nighttime is often when the mind gets loudest. Racing thoughts about the day or worries about tomorrow keep many people awake. Deep breathing calms the body, making it easier to fall asleep and sleep deeply. Deep breathing is an immediate tool, but it also supports your bigger mental health. When combined with other practices like mindfulness and affirmations, it creates a foundation for lasting change. It reminds you that you always have something within your control, even when everything else feels uncertain. There's a simple truth here. The mind cannot stay in a state of panic when the body is calm. They work together. When you slow your breath, your mind follows. The lies your mind tells lose their power because they rely on fear and urgency. Calm replaces panic, truth replaces lies. This skill is one of the most accessible ways to take back control of your mind. It doesn't require expensive tools or therapy sessions. It only requires your attention, your breath, and your willingness to practice. In a world full of distractions and constant pressure, breathing deeply is a return to yourself. It's a way to clear the noise and connect with what is real. When the mind lies, deep breathing helps you step outside the story and see clearly. Making deep breathing part of your daily routine is a gift you give yourself. It builds resilience and mental strength. It becomes a habit that stands firm against the lies and negativity your mind throws at you. When you feel your mind starting to lie again, when doubt, fear, or false stories creep in, stop and breathe. Feel the air move through your body. Let calm wash over you. This simple act reconnects you with truth and empowers you to face whatever comes next with clarity and confidence. The breath is your anchor. It is your tool. It is your power. Use it to take back control. Number 9. Focus on facts, not feelings, when making decisions. There is a moment in life when feelings flood your mind like a wild storm, and it seems impossible to find solid ground. When you're caught in that storm, making decisions becomes overwhelming. Most people naturally lean on their emotions to guide their choices because feelings are loud and immediate. But here's the hard truth. Feelings often mislead. They exaggerate risks, blow problems out of proportion, and disguise truth with fear or hope. Relying on feelings alone when making decisions can lead to mistakes that weigh heavily later. That's why focusing on facts, not feelings, is the single most powerful step you can take to regain control over your mind and your life. Feelings are important. They tell us what matters to us. But feelings are not facts. A feeling of fear doesn't mean danger is real. A feeling of sadness doesn't prove failure. When emotions run wild, they cloud your judgment and create illusions. The mind tricks you into believing stories that may not be true, stories that stop you from taking action or from seeing opportunities clearly. Imagine a situation where fear rises up. The mind says, "You can't do this," or "You're going to fail." The heart races, your palms sweat, and your thoughts spiral into what-if scenarios. But ask yourself, what do you actually know? What are the facts? Maybe you've succeeded in similar challenges before. Maybe you have the skills needed. Maybe the risk isn't as high as your feelings suggest. When you shift your focus from the storm of emotions to the steady facts, you start to see clearly. Facts are specific, concrete pieces of information you can verify. Did the project fail because of lack of effort, or were there external factors? Did you receive feedback that you can use to improve, or is it just your fear talking? Facts don't change with your mood. They are steady. When you base decisions on facts, you build confidence because you have a foundation to stand on, not shifting sands. One of the biggest challenges is that feelings feel urgent, while facts often require patience and effort to uncover. It's easier to react to emotions than to pause and gather information. That's why most people make decisions when they feel overwhelmed, tired, or pressured, and those decisions often lead to regret. Developing the habit of stopping to ask, "What do I really know right now?" changes everything. Start by writing down what your feelings are telling you. Then, beside each feeling, write the facts related to it. For example, if you feel overwhelmed about a new job, list what you actually know, your qualifications, the job description, support available, and past experiences. This simple act turns vague fears into concrete realities. It reduces the power of false beliefs and replaces them with truth. When you face tough decisions, it's also important to separate opinions from facts. Your mind can easily take a comment from someone else or a rumor and turn it into a fact. Always question where the information comes from. Reliable facts come from evidence you can check, not from assumptions or hearsay. Focusing on facts over feelings doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. Emotions are part of being human. They are signals, not dictators. You can acknowledge how you feel while choosing to act based on what is true. This balance keeps you grounded. Decision-making driven by facts also involves looking at consequences realistically. Ask yourself, what are the possible outcomes? What has happened in similar situations before? This logical approach helps you prepare for challenges without being paralyzed by worry. When you imagine the worst-case scenario, base it on what is reasonable, not on the worst fear your mind creates. It's easy to forget how many times feelings have led you astray in the past. Maybe a fear of rejection stopped you from reaching out to someone important. Maybe a rush of excitement caused you to jump into something without full understanding. Reflecting on these moments helps build awareness. Awareness is the first step toward change. You can train your mind to spot when feelings try to take control. This requires self-awareness and practice. The next time you feel overwhelmed by emotion, pause. Take a breath. Remind yourself to look for facts. Ask questions. Seek evidence. Over time, this becomes a natural habit. It's also helpful to talk to trusted people who can help you see facts clearly. Sometimes your own mind is clouded, but others can offer perspectives grounded in reality. Sharing your thoughts with someone objective can reveal facts you missed. Using facts to guide decisions doesn't mean everything will be perfect. Life will always have uncertainty. But when your choices come from a place of truth, you act with strength and clarity. Mistakes will still happen, but they will be smarter mistakes. You will learn and grow faster. This approach also builds resilience. When challenges come, you don't crumble under feelings of despair. Instead, you return to what you know to be true and find a way forward. Facts give you a compass during storms. Think of the last time you made a big decision based only on feelings. How did it turn out? Were you satisfied? Did fear or hope distort the reality? Now imagine what would happen if you had stopped, gathered facts, and let truth guide you. You would feel more in control, less anxious, and more prepared. This is not about denying your humanity or pretending feelings don't matter. It's about recognizing that feelings are not always reliable guides. They are a part of the mind's way of protecting you, but sometimes that protection is false and limiting. Decisions shape your life. When your mind lies to you with fear, doubt, or false certainty, it steals your power. Taking a step back to focus on facts gives you the power back. It grounds you in reality so you make choices that move you forward instead of holding you back. Facts create a clear path. Feelings can create fog. The path is easier to walk when you see it clearly. When you focus on facts, you build trust in yourself and your ability to navigate life's challenges. You don't need to wait for perfect conditions to start this practice. Every moment you pause and choose facts over feelings, you grow stronger. You become a person who controls their mind, not the other way around. Start small. Use facts when deciding what to say, how to respond, or what to focus on next. Notice the difference it makes. This daily practice rewires your mind to be a better guide instead of a liar. When you focus on facts, you break free from the chains of fear and uncertainty. You open the door to clear thinking, confident action, and real progress. Number 10. Reprogram your mind by repeating truthful thoughts daily. There is a silent battle taking place inside your mind every single day. It's a constant back and forth between doubt and belief, fear and courage, limitation and possibility. Most people don't realize that their minds have been programmed over years, sometimes by family, sometimes by society, sometimes by their own experiences, to believe things that are simply not true. These false beliefs act like invisible chains, holding you back from living the life you want. The powerful truth is this: your mind can be reprogrammed. You can overwrite the lies with truth. And the way to do that is through daily repetition of truthful thoughts. This is not a quick fix or some kind of magic trick. Changing the way your mind works is a process that requires consistency, intention, and patience. But the moment you commit to speaking the truth to yourself every day, everything begins to shift. Your inner voice, which once filled you with doubt and fear, gradually turns into a source of strength and encouragement. Think about how often you hear yourself saying negative things without even realizing it. I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed. I don't deserve happiness. These words echo through your mind, reinforcing old programming. What if instead of these lies you repeated, I am capable, I learn and grow every day, I deserve a joyful life? Over time, those truthful statements sink in deeper than any doubt. Repetition is how your brain builds new pathways. Just like practicing a sport or a skill, repeating positive truths rewires the way you think. It's like training a muscle. Every time you repeat a truthful thought, you make that belief stronger and more natural. Eventually, it becomes your default mindset instead of the old negative script. The daily practice of repeating truth works on a very simple principle. What you focus on grows. If you focus on doubt, you strengthen it. If you focus on truth, you build a foundation that supports you. That's why this practice isn't just about feeling better for a moment. It's about changing the core of how your mind operates. One powerful way to start is to create affirmations, simple, clear statements that reflect the reality you want to live in. These affirmations should be specific, positive, and present tense. For example, I am confident in my abilities, or I make wise decisions, or I welcome challenges as opportunities. These aren't empty slogans, they are facts you are planting inside your mind. Say these affirmations out loud every morning, or write them down, or repeat them silently during moments of doubt. The more you repeat them, the more they settle in your subconscious. Your subconscious mind is where deep programming lives, and it responds best to repetition and emotion. Feel the words as you say them. Believe them even if your mind protests at first. This process also requires confronting the old lies directly. When a negative thought surfaces, don't push it away or pretend it's not there. Instead, catch it and replace it immediately with a truthful statement. For example, if your mind says, I'm not smart enough, respond with, I'm learning every day and growing stronger. This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about choosing a more accurate and empowering reality. Over time, you will notice a shift in how you respond to challenges. The old automatic negative thoughts lose their grip. They no longer control your feelings or your actions. Instead, you become the one who chooses what to believe and how to think. Reprogramming your mind also means being patient with yourself. Old beliefs didn't form overnight, and they won't disappear overnight either. There will be days when doubt sneaks back in or when negative thoughts feel louder than usual. Those days don't mean failure, they mean you're human. What matters is that you return to the truth and keep repeating it. It's helpful to remind yourself why this matters so much. Your thoughts create your reality. What you believe about yourself and the world influences your behavior, your relationships, and your opportunities. Changing your thoughts changes everything. When your mind believes in your strength and worth, you act differently. You take more risks. You speak up. You pursue your goals with passion. Another key part of this process is surrounding yourself with truth in your environment. Listen to people who support your growth. Read books that inspire you. Avoid messages that tear you down. The more your external world echoes the truth you're repeating inside, the easier it becomes to maintain your new programming. You may notice that reprogramming your mind affects not just your thoughts, but your feelings and your energy. As your beliefs become stronger and more positive, you feel lighter, more hopeful, and more motivated. This is the mind and body working together to bring your truth to life. If ever doubt creeps back, remind yourself that you have the power to choose your thoughts. You are not a prisoner of your past or your mind's automatic patterns. Every day is a new chance to speak truth into your mind and take back control. Remember, the truth is simple but profound. You are capable of growth, you deserve happiness, and you have the power to change your story. Repeating these truths daily rewires your brain to accept them as real. And as your mind aligns with truth, your life follows. This practice is one of the most powerful tools to overcome the lies your mind tells you. It builds a mental fortress that doubt and fear cannot easily break down. It arms you with confidence that is not based on luck or circumstance, but on the reality you create every day. You don't have to wait for a perfect moment to start. The moment you decide to speak truth to yourself, you begin the process of transformation. Over time, that daily repetition becomes a habit, and that habit shapes your destiny. Your mind will try to resist. It will bring up old doubts and fears to test your commitment. Stand firm. Repeat your truths louder. Let the power of your words dismantle the lies piece by piece. With persistence, the voice inside you changes from critic to champion. That voice becomes your greatest ally. It pushes you forward when things get tough. It reminds you of your value when you feel small. It encourages you to keep moving when the path is unclear. Reprogramming your mind through truthful repetition isn't just self-help fluff. It's a strategic, proven method to reclaim control over your thinking and ultimately your life. It's the foundation of resilience, confidence, and success. Each day you speak truth to yourself. You invest in the most important relationship you will ever have, the one with your own mind. That relationship determines how you experience life, how you respond to challenges, and how you achieve your goals. This is your chance to rewrite your mental script, to transform doubt into belief, to turn fear into courage, to live a life driven by truth and strength. Start now and never stop.